Hey everyone, welcome to The Fly-In, a podcast brought to you by the New Dems. Today is Thursday, May 15th. I'm Greg Landsman.
And I'm Marc Veasey.
We're recording later this week than usual. We usually record on the Fly-In day. This is several days into the legislative week, but we have been in committee markups, in our case, for the better part of 2 days, dealing with this disastrous budget bill, which we're going to get into. So in a moment, we'll also have Congressman Gabe Vasquez from New Mexico. He came in with me, one of my favorite people, I think one of the most decent human beings in the United States Congress, so that should be a great conversation. But before we do that, let's go to a new segment. Unfortunately, we're going to take a break from the Cost Corner, and we now have a new segment called the Corruption Corner. Because of the blatant corruption of this administration, and there are really a ton of things that we could talk about.
That's
the
right.
Trump meme coin, which is a Swiss bank account essentially where people are just depositing
That's right.
money. I mean, he's making billions.
Oh my God.
And one of the craziest, most corrupt things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The Qataris have given the president a $400 million, nearly $500 million private jet.
Yeah.
Some are calling it the bribe plane.
Yeah. Like the Steve Miller song, Big Old Jet Airliner. Big old jet airliner, carry my gold far away.
Big old jet airliner, don't carry me too far away.
Because that's what he wants to do. He wants to put all this money on the damn jet. And he wants to be able to use it when it's after his presidency, right? Like, it's clear, like, what's going on. My understanding is that it would take the Defense Department and the military about 3.5 years to go through this plane to make it safe for him to fly and make it defensive. There's no way that he gets to take off in it tomorrow, right? There's a lot that plane would have to be disassembled all the way down to the nuts and bolts and put back together again. That would probably take 3.5 years towards the end of his presidency. He says he's going to donate it to his museum. And of course, he wants to be able to fly it around the country with him and his friends and all of his cronies that he's made rich and that made him rich during his presidency.
Speaker Johnson said about this, it's not in his lane.
He says it's not in his lane. It's in his lane. It's in Speaker Johnson's lane to make sure that when these sorts of things take place, this man is third in line in the presidency. It is absolutely his place to comment on these things. First and foremost, he didn't mind commenting on it when and taking shots at Biden all the time, right? And so why in the world would he not say something about this? And it's so blatant. He almost defended it. Saying at least Trump is doing it in the open.
He did.
That is bonkers.
Yeah, he did. This is their argument. Their argument is if you do it behind closed doors, that's illegal. But if you do it in the open, it's fine.
Yeah.
And
Insanity.
I can't imagine that the American people aren't going to say bullshit.
Yeah.
We're going to have to clean a lot up.
A lot.
Including this.
Yeah.
And getting corruption out of American politics is going to have to be one of the most important things we do. All right. We got Gabe Vasquez. We have Gabe Vasquez with us, one of my favorite members of Congress. We came in together.
From New Mexico.
Yeah.
That's right.
The great state of New Mexico.
Yeah.
So first, for those folks getting to know Gabe Vasquez, where are you from? Why'd you run for Congress? What are you working on?
Yeah, look, I am from the most beautiful district in all of America. All right, imagine 4 national forests, the last free-flowing river in the Southwest, public lands that are filled with things like javelina and black bear and mule deer and oryx and ibex, public access to, hundreds of thousands of acres, 2 national monuments, 2 national parks. It is a beautiful place that I dearly love. It's one of the largest districts in the country. And yes, New Mexico is a state. Sometimes I have to remind the TSA agents at the airport that it is when they ask me for my passport.
So that was probably one of the most impressive sales pitches of a congressional district. I immediately want to go. I need to come see you.
Well, they call California the land of milk and honey, or at least that's what my family called it. We're the land of chili and onions. That's one of the major producers. We're one of the major producers. In fact, we're home to the chili capital of the world.
Green chili.
Very proud. Hatch, New Mexico. Can't get it anywhere else. But I'm very proud of my district. You know, We're not by any means the richest district, but I think we're rich in culture, tradition, and it's a place where, when you pass somebody on a dirt road, they stop by and say hello.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the nature of the district, so it's beautiful.
As a kid growing up, I spent a lot of time in New Mexico. It is a beautiful place.
Oh yeah.
I mean, absolutely beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
So you're on ag.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why'd you choose to be on ag, and why is it so important right now?
Yeah, well, look, I grew up as a conservationist. I grew up hunting and fishing. I grew up with a lot of farmland all around me. And the most important thing for me is to represent the constituents of my district. That's why I'm here. Ag is part of our culture and our identity in New Mexico. So, we're talking about chili and onions and pecans, things that are legacy crops for us, right? And so we have many challenges, drought. We have input prices that are rising. We have tariffs right now that are killing our cattle growers. We have lack of access to water. We got to fix a water treaty with Texas, Mr. Veasey, which I could use your help on. Texas versus New Mexico. And so there's all these issues that we got to work out. But really, I came here to work on a farm bill. And it's been 2 years. We haven't gotten a damn farm bill done.
Yeah.
And just yesterday, we passed some skinny version, a fake version of the farm bill under the reconciliation process. Yeah. Which does no justice to the people of my district. So I'm going to continue to support them on that effort. But also ag is where conservation happens. These private landowners that are, growing cattle or that are growing onions, they're some of the folks who are in charge of taking care of our watersheds, our rivers, our riparian landscapes. And so that's important to me.
All right, so usually we get into three big things, but because the big, terrible, awful budget is in front of us, we're going to talk about one big thing, and that is this budget. It is a $4 trillion bill. The money goes to tax cuts that overwhelmingly favor the super wealthy and
Elon.
big corporations, billionaires and big corporations. And to pay for it, they're going to spend trillions of dollars on debt, but the deficit hawks can only stomach a few trillion, so they've got to go and find another trillion or more to cut. They are cutting in our committee, Energy and Commerce, where Medicaid is, and we're going to get into that. They're cutting in your committee, which is Agriculture, and that's food assistance. And they're cutting in Ways and Means, where they're going to take away subsidies that help people pay for health care through the Affordable Care Act. And so there are these three big cuts that are part of this one awful bill. And the way it works is they pass a big sort of resolution that says go get started. Then each committee has to put their bill together. That bill then goes before the committee, and it's called a markup because you're technically voting to pass it with some changes or having marked it up. And so ours lasted 26 hours?
26 hours plus some change.
And in ag, how long did you
20
guys-
plus. Yeah.
20 plus. Ways and Means was 20 plus. So let's get into this. Let's start with ag. Tell us what we need to know. We weren't in the room. What happened?
Yeah, well, ag is where food assistance programs live, SNAP primarily.
Yep.
They're essentially trying to gut a third of SNAP. So $300 billion from food assistance programs, which lie under the authority of the USDA. Look, I'm going to give it to you straight. What happened yesterday and the day before in markup was really shameful. Only about 4 Republicans were in the room the entire time that we were there. They did not want to debate on a bill that they couldn't stomach bringing back to their constituents. Honestly, I found that really insulting. Yeah. So it was mostly Democrats talking about saving these critical programs. And it was terrible. It was and we had to call a motion to adjourn just to bring the Republicans back into the room to have a debate with us. They refused to. And then at the end of the day, when they took food away from people's plates, they were all high-fiving each other. It's pretty sad. That folks are happy about that.
Yeah, the same thing happened in our markup. 26 hours. We're fighting these healthcare cuts because lives are on the line. I mean, I went in there knowing that the fight was for people's lives. So that's how serious we all were. We were locked in. They came in and out. Most of the time, they weren't in the room. They only had 3 or 4 people who spoke. Yeah. And it does beg the question. Even though they did clap at the end too, they were so excited. Do you think they really want to cut this much in terms of food assistance? I mean, how many people are going to lose food assistance?
I mean, millions of people, and it just depends because the argument that they've made is that the states are going to make up the deficit, that they'll pay a higher percentage of SNAP benefits. Currently, right now, this is a federal program, and the states pay to administer the program. So this cost-sharing model on top of the Medicaid cuts, the states are going to have to also reimburse or find a way to pay for, and everything else, Head Start, you name it, is going to be impossible for most states to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So their main argument was we're pushing this off to the states. They call it cost-sharing, call it cost dumping. You know, and states are dealing with a lot. New Mexico's dealing with a lot. We're not a rich state. We can't do that. So it was a phony argument. You know, we introduced 73 amendments, and you know, which are essentially part of the markup process. That's, you know, where we get to add things to the bill. We only had 26 heard, and every single amendment was partisan.
What's the craziest thing you heard, and how'd you stay awake?
Well, Greg, I heard a lot of crazy things. One of the crazy things I heard was we were discussing at what age it was responsible for a parent to leave their child in their home, and
Like alone?
alone,
Okay.
because under this farm bill, you have to be a very young child with a parent that does not qualify if they don't go to work. And so there was a discussion about the appropriate age for a child to stay home alone. And I won't say what the age is because I think we're going to get into that later. But to stay awake, I mean, mostly stabbing myself in the leg with a pen. Every time the Republicans lied about something, that kept me awake.
Mark,
Yeah.
what was the craziest thing that you heard?
The craziest thing that I heard was an incident that happened when it was my turn to, open up, to give my opening remarks.
My Republican colleagues, my MAGA colleagues, swore up and down that they wouldn't touch Medicaid. It was a lie.
Objection.
Now, hold on a second, Mr. Chairman. Everybody over here has been hollering about lying, and now all of a sudden they're objecting.
All right, gentlemen.
Come on now.
And what?
Come on now.
I've asked everybody to suspend on the word line.
Trump, my Republican MAGA colleagues, stop capping.
They
They
lost
they,
it.
They lost it. They
yeah.
lost it.
Which-
and they interjected, and I was like, no, that's you. You're saying that they can call everybody liar, but we can't. That dog ain't
And
gonna
the
work.
and the chair said, "Oh yeah, you can't do that." And I interjected and said, one of your members just called him a liar."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, well, that's true. All right, fine." Everyone. Then he was like, "Okay, let's reset.
Yeah.
Let's It was
So
crazy.
it was crazy. And to stay up, I came up with we're joking around about me and how I apply everything to songs. I just kept singing all these old country and western songs. I don't know why. I think we had a competition earlier in the day, Democrats versus Republicans, and my one of the staffers that drove me there, he likes country music. And so he was playing all this country music from the 80s and 90s. And so I was just like singing these country and western songs in my head
want a
over and
clip.
over and over.
I want a clip of Mark in
Yeah.
committee.
I heard him in the cloakroom singing country songs in between.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
did I.
I thought he was hallucinating.
I
but-
probably was.
Yes, but
Yeah, we
apparently it was. Yes.
The craziest thing I heard was them saying that there are people who deserve to be on Medicaid and people who don't deserve to be on Medicaid.
And I appreciate the chairman's honesty. He said, we're going to focus on cutting health care for the people who don't need it as much. Who does not need health care?
To stay awake, I drink so much coffee. I mean, every 20 minutes, I went back to the little coffee maker, and I don't think I've ever had that much coffee in my life.
Yeah. I'm a decaf guy, but I had caffeine that night and the next day and this morning.
You just drink decaf coffee?
I'm a decaf guy, 100%. Yeah.
That's better than stabbing yourself in the leg.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to play a game to help folks understand what Republicans snuck into this bill. All right, show the sign. I think this is the first time we've had a prop, so we're just making so much headway here.
Yeah.
All right, what do we got?
All right. Well, look, New Mexico state question is red or green. The answer is Christmas because we both like our red and green
Yeah.
chili, and we're also a bilingual state officially. So the answers aren't Spanish. Falso means false. That's easy enough. Cierto means
Cierto.
true.
Cool. I love it.
Amazing.
go.
All right, so we're playing this very fun but also disturbing game because the reality of this budget is so problematic. All right, let's go first one. The Republican bill kicks you off SNAP or food assistance about $6 a day, which helps a lot of millions of people pay their bills when your kid turns 18. True or false?
Falso. Actually, they kick you off when you're 7 years old.
What's the justification of kicking you
Right.
off when you're 7?
I have no idea, but for $6, you could buy a pack of tortillas and a can of beans. So you're not even getting that much. So tell me a 7-year-old doesn't even deserve a birthday cake, but that's what they do.
Well, this one really will impact the orange man, okay? Republicans eliminated the tax on indoor tanning beds. True or false?
Cierto.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
All right, so
That might be good for you, Greg.
do I need to do that? Am I that white?
I know. I'm just
Am I that
saying.
pale?
Look, it would help for the cameras. That's all I'm saying.
Next one, the Republicans increase copays on Medicaid for everyone except people making less than $300 a week.
Falso.
You're very good at
Yeah,
that.
Wow.
I like doing this. This is fun. It's actually not true. It's a lot less than that. It is, essentially for folks that are barely above the poverty line. So they lowered that threshold significantly. It's gotten really bad.
This may be one of the craziest things I heard in committee, that we fought. This was one of my amendments, was to get rid of this copay, this new charge to go see a doctor, for low-income families. And one of our Republican counterparts snapped back and said, "No, these are the folks at the top rung." And I said, "Top rung? You're talking about people who make $15,000, $16,000 a year.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a couple $100 a week.
Yeah.
What are you top rung?
Right.
That's absurd." All right, last one. The Republicans lowered taxes on podcasting equipment. True or false?
All right, I'm getting a computer, and we're all getting headphones.
Headphones and
I
the
love
big
it.
mics, because
Yeah.
they did put some
Yeah.
tax cuts in there for podcasters. Thank God.
Yeah.
Gabe, thank you.
Greg, thank you. You've been a great friend since we got to Congress together. Marc Veasey's the
Yes.
first person that called me. First member of Congress when I ran for Congress.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good job, Mark.
Absolutely. He's been a
so I
great member
appreciate
too.
All right, thank you for joining us this week. Before we take off, please remember to follow us across social media platforms that say New Dems on it, and rate and review the show wherever you get your podcasts. We do love hearing from you. We'll see you next week when we fly in.
Auf Wiedersehen.
All right.
German.
My mom lived in Cincinnati for a couple of years.
I know that.
And New Mexico doesn't have a professional sports team.
Yeah.
But if we had anything like the Bengals, I'd rather not have a team, to be honest with you. I'm just kidding. But she did live across from the stadium.
There's a different, it's a different setup. We have a table, and that is because we're serious podcasters now.
That's right. We have a table, and I definitely think that makes us kind of official.
Yeah, plus
but
the
we're still a little edgy and off
sometimes
the,
I'll get breaking news, and
Yeah, that's right.
and I'll want to make sure that the computer and the table, and
You're still missing the headset stuff.
I know.
Yeah, that's the next step.
headset, and then the big mic.